Dead Island 2's road to a gaming platform of your choice has been filled with unexpected detours, just as our hero's journey from the first Dead Island games were to salvation. With multiple delays and 3 studios brought in to develop the game, it looked as though Dead Island 2 was going to be stuck in development hell and become a zombie itself. But now, Dead Island 2 has breached the waves and waded ashore. The question is, has the wait been worth it, or does the game require some extra reanimation time? Dead Island 2, despite retaining the name, does away with the island setting and transplants its action to another, larger, sunnier location, California. The game starts off with yet another outbreak that has rendered Los Angeles inhospitable to the living. The dead roam the streets, eating whoever they can get their hands on, while the military has evacuated what survivors they could. As one of the protagonists, you're on one of the last flights out of LA before an infected survivor makes short work of that plan. When the plane crashes, you're left to dust yourself off, grab whatever weapons you can, and make haste to the closest safe house. A safe house that just happens to be the abode of horror star Emma Jaunt. Naturally, getting there involves helping anyone out along the way, so it's going to be another long day in paradise. Dead Island 2 lets you choose from one of 6 zombie-slaying protagonists, each with their own backstories, attributes, and skills. While I didn't have time to check out all the slayers, it seems that the path through the game is the same for all of them, though there's plenty of unique dialogue for each slayer that reflects their personalities. Combat remains a primarily melee-based affair, and most systems feel designed around it. So what you really want to pay attention to are their skills and attributes. These make a big difference in determining your playstyle, be that hit-and-run tactics or trying to tank your way through hordes, something generally not recommended. Each time you level up, base attributes like health and attack power increase, but the real draw is the numerous skills you can unlock. These skills are represented through a card system, and you need to put some thought into your loadout. There's a limited amount that you can equip, but there's a lot to choose from, including subset skills that buff the primary one. Some new skill cards are found scattered across the world, and many are the same for each survivor, but survivors also have powerful skills specific to them. There are plenty of skills to allow for a variety of builds, and the game lets you create multiple Slayer profiles. If you don't like the way Amy plays, you can start a new slot with a different Slayer, and bounce back and forth between them until you find one you like. It's just a shame you can't swap them out and pick up your campaign progress from the same spot. Now, although I appreciate the flexibility, the new skill system can make or break the combat. Your loadout becomes a major factor in determining if you survive the deadly streets of LA, and have fun while doing so. Chances, though, are high that you'll find something you like and stick with it. The dropkick, which I gained early in my run with Carla, became my primary method for clearing out space. I'd maneuver zombies into a line, drop them like a line of dominoes, follow that up with maiming shots to the legs, and finish them all off quickly with one-hit kill head stomps. Hours later, this move was still saving my behind. Of course, combat has been beefed up considerably since the first Dead Island games. Zombies can be more aggressive, both in attack patterns, how long they'll pursue you for, and they deal out significant damage. Of note, climbing onto cars to save yourself is no longer a guaranteed strategy, as zombies can climb up after you. Additionally, zombies now sport that recent fad of having stagger bar, which determines how long they'll stay on their feet before your pummeling finally stuns them. If you can drop that bar quickly, they're open to either one-hit kill attacks that splash disintegrating grey matter around like a popped piñata, or, in the case of bosses and mini-bosses, are stunned for a couple seconds to let you wail on them. Sticking to the template that made the original stand out, weapons can be modded using blueprints scattered around the world or dropped from bosses. Some are simple and increase physical damage, while others apply more situational elemental attacks. Some mods come with caveats though, such as higher damage at the expense of durability, but sadly, all weapons break after a while. To offset this, unused or broken weapons can be scrapped, and those parts used to repair others. Unfortunately, Dead Island 2 is a little slow in opening up its toy box for you, and you're going to have to grind away in basic combat for a few hours before better weapons and skills become available. Similarly, guns eventually show up, and they can be modded like everything else, but ammo seems incredibly scarce. The biggest problem I found was that the powerful zombie skill cards were always what I fell back on when my number was almost up. Something that can happen a lot because Dead Island 2 is pretty tough. You see, there's an auto-leveling system that tends to keep zombies either at your level or one level higher than you, and falling behind the curve on skills or upgrades can be deadly. Talking of zombies, there's a decent variety, from the common weak shamblers to deadly electrified or exploding zombies, and the all-too-familiar specials. Once you encounter them, they start to become a common feature among the hordes, making each encounter a fraught affair that requires you prioritize who to take out and when. Luckily, the game gives you plenty of environmental tools to do that in addition to your arsenal and skill set. Water can be electrified, exploding barrels abound, and zombies can hurt other zombies with their special abilities or exploding attacks. Play your cards right, and you can use the environment to thin out the herd before getting stuck in. Now, if you were expecting a fully open-world affair, you're going to be disappointed. Dead Island 2, even though the game itself is large and features many iconic locations, sports a semi-open-world design. Each area of the game functions as its own zone and you have to travel between them. Now, each area is more than large enough to make exploration a tense and danger-filled affair, but unless you're really unlucky in how you traverse the streets, you won't be amassing too many zombie followers in your wake. Combat-wise, more than 6 at a time is more than enough to give you cause for concern, and you won't be seeing thousands of zombies roaming the wilds, just enough to make sure life is really difficult for you. Unfortunately, the developers are really fond of the lock you in a room or hold a point structure that just spawns waves of zombies at you. The same applies to boss fights, and they take the lazy approach of increasing the difficulty by throwing in ads as well. Neither of these elements is fun in the long run, and both wore out their welcome pretty quickly. Another design that irked me is the incessant spawning system. You rarely have time to breathe when traversing the world, as zombies seem to just come out of nowhere, just when you think you've cleared a section. It makes exploration or trying to backtrack somewhere quickly frustrating and a chore. Thankfully, most zombies finally amble on back to their designated patrol area when you've got enough distance from them. One of the reasons it annoyed me so much is that you'll really want to explore. The world is full of blueprints, skills, higher tier weapons, and backstory in the form of notes or audio recordings. There's also a ton of all-important side missions that you can stumble into or get notified about, which might see you assist an old action star take care of zombies on his lawn, or help an influencer upload the sickest zombie kills videos. They're fun to do, but be warned, you can miss out on several of them if you leave a zone before completing them. As a final note on the gameplay, assuming the lengthy campaign and 6 slayers aren't enough for you, there are numerous lists of challenges to tackle, and you can explore LA together online, though sadly I was unable to test this out during the pre-launch review window. Given the protracted development time, the last thing I want to touch on is the presentation and stability. Now, Dead Island 2 is a gorgeous game, and it actually runs pretty well most of the time. The smaller zones help keep the level of detail and visual fidelity high, with gorgeous materials and wonderful 3D models for the cast, living and dead alike. If you've watched any of the trailers, one of the big talking points about the game is gore, and Dead Island 2 is an incredibly gory and grim game. Blood and viscera are splattered across the environments, and the damage system for the zombies is both brutally gory and technically impressive. Each hit or burn takes out chunks of the zombies, revealing the muscles underneath, internal organs dripping out, and finally bone, which shatters wonderfully when hit hard enough. Zombies can be cut in half, decapitated, dismembered, and it's not uncommon to watch teeth fly and a jaw dislocated with each swing of the sledgehammer. Dead Island 2 goes out of its way to earn its mature rating, at least where blood and guts are concerned. As for performance, well, right out the gate, Dead Island 2 is far more stable than the first two ever were. That jankiness of the original games is nowhere to be found, and there's a significant amount of polish on display here. Even better, this is one cross-platform game that'll make owners of both last and current-gen hardware happy. I split my playtime between an Xbox Series X and an Xbox One X, and I can say the game was fantastic on both machines. Of course, you're looking at faster load times and a higher resolution and frame rate on the Xbox Series machines, but the One X is no slouch. Outside of some reductions in material quality and a few stutters here and there, I'd say the Xbox One X visual quality is a close match for the Series version. So wrapping up, I'm happy to report Dead Island 2's 8-year development cycle has actually been put to good use. The long-awaited sequel is not set on an island, it still manages to recapture all the fun and terror of an overrun and isolated setting. You may have a larger world to explore, but it doesn't feel any less claustrophobic or tense. The sequel also sports great voice acting, beautiful and even gorier visuals, a lengthy campaign, and above all is just fun to play. Zombies may be wearing themselves out, again, in the entertainment genre, but Dead Island 2 is a rare example of a sequel that warrants unboxing that particular brand of monster-bashing formula again. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.